that, you guys? You can hear it in the video right here. The Indiana Fever fans were chanting, Sophie, Sophie.
Hounding Clark. Clark, step back.
Sophie Cunningham has taken her fight somewhere referees can't ignore: the courtroom. She is suing WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert. And this isn't a PR move. This isn't noise. This is a legal reckoning with teeth, filed after an incident so explosive it cracked the foundation of the entire league wide open. What started as one hard foul on one Tuesday night has spiraled into something nobody in the league office was prepared for. Sophie isn't just defending a teammate anymore. She's dragging favoritism, double standards, and years of institutional failure into a room where excuses don't hold up under cross-examination. Could this be the lawsuit that rewrites the rules for how stars are treated in the WNBA? Buckle up, because this isn't a headline. It's a reckoning, the blow that broke the silence. To understand where we are, you need to understand the night it all started. June 17th, Gainbridge Fieldhouse. A basketball game that stopped being just a basketball game about 40 seconds before it ended. Sophie Cunningham had watched enough. And when JC Sheldon drove toward the paint, Sophie didn't hesitate. She hit her. Hard. Loud. Impossible to ignore. The kind of foul that doesn't need a replay to understand, because everyone in that building felt it the moment it landed. The crowd gasped first. Then they roared. Because what they were witnessing wasn't just a play. It wasn't just a flagrant foul on a stat sheet. It was a signal. Clear, physical, and long overdue. Sophie Cunningham was done waiting for the referees to do their job. Done watching her teammate absorb hit after hit while the officials studied their shoelaces. Done staying quiet in a league that had learned to count on the quiet. This wasn't retaliation. This was a 2-year frustration finally finding its exit. For years, through Caitlin Clark's entire WNBA existence, the pattern had been building. Elbows to the face, hands to the eyes, blindside, hits on fast breaks, and referee after referee finding reasons to swallow the whistle. Players across the league had noticed. Fans had noticed. Coaches had noticed. The footage was everywhere, the outrage was real, and the league's response was silence dressed up as process. Patience had been running out for a long time. Sophie Cunningham just happened to be the one who finally ran out of it first. And when she did, everything changed.
Yeah, just go tomorrow. You're on the Las Vegas Strip. What can the Las Vegas expect from Sophie?
Oh, you know what? I'm just gonna be me. I don't go in there trying to predetermine anything. I'm dialed in. I need to focus on hitting my shots, making sure I'm executing the schemes right. I'm not focused on the extracurricular activities. And you know what? During that, it was just part of the game. I think the refs had a lot to do with that. It was a build-up for a couple of years now of them just not protecting, the star player of the WNBA. And so at the end of the day, I'm going to protect my teammates. That's what I do. And I'm a team player. So
here's the full rewrite. The reaction was instant, and it was enormous. Before the final buzzer had finished echoing through Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the clips were already moving. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. The same 10 seconds playing on a loop millions of times as the internet collectively leaned in and asked the question nobody in the league office wanted to answer. Was Sophie over the line? Or had she simply done the job the referees refused to do? That question split the basketball world clean in half. And it didn't close back up. Because this moment wasn't just physical. It was symbolic in a way that hit differently than any press release, any league statement, any carefully worded non-answer ever could. Sophie Cunningham's foul spoke for every player who had ever felt overlooked. Every rookie who absorbed a cheap shot and looked to the officials and found nothing looking back. Every fan who watched their favorite athlete get hammered on a fast break and heard only silence where a whistle should have been. She wasn't just defending Caitlin Clark's body. She was defending the principle that professional athletes deserve to be protected. That stars don't get traded away to opposing elbows while the people paid to enforce the rules stand there studying the floor. The media erupted. Sports talk shows ran the clip on loop and argued for days. Was she a hero? Was she reckless? Was she both? Casual observers who had never watched a WNBA game in their lives found themselves with an opinion. That's how big this got. But underneath all the noise, Underneath the debate and the hot takes and the hashtags was something quieter and more important. The truth. The truth about Caitlin Clark. The officiating crisis in the WNBA didn't start on June 17th. It had been building for 2 full years, quietly, consistently, and in plain sight. From the moment Caitlin Clark stepped onto a professional court, she became a target. Not metaphorically, literally. Elbows to the face, hands to the eyes, shoulder checks on drives, body contact on releases. The kind of physical attention that, in any other context, in any other league, would fill a free throw line and clear a bench. Instead, it filled highlight reels. The wrong kind. Replay after replay showed it. Fans at home with their phones could see it in real time. Courtside media could see it. Coaches, Coach Stephanie White most visibly and most vocally, could see it. The only people who seemed incapable of seeing it were the ones holding the whistles. And the question that had been building for 24 months finally boiled over into something unavoidable.
Why?
Why was the league's most commercially dominant player, the woman whose jersey was the second best-selling in the entire world, whose presence drove 1,000% increase in merchandise revenue, who filled arenas that hadn't seen sellouts in years, why was she being left completely unprotected? The most uncomfortable answer was also the most obvious one. That it wasn't accidental. That opposing teams had figured out the equation. Get physical with Clark early, make her feel the game, and count on the officials not to respond. That the league's failure to protect her wasn't a series of missed calls.
It was a pattern.
And patterns have causes. Every uncalled foul was a message. And the message was the same every time. It's open season. Then came Sophie.
Fierce. Loyal.
Completely unwilling to wait for someone else to act. Sophie Cunningham had watched the pattern play out long enough. And when J.C. Sheldon poked Clark in the eye without consequence, in the same game, on the same floor, in front of the same officials who had been watching it happen all season, Cunningham made a decision. She was going to do what the league would not. The foul landed. The message was delivered. And the brawl that followed, Sheldon and Lindsay Allen surging toward Cunningham, players from both benches flooding the floor, was almost beside the point. The point had already been made. What happened next was something nobody in a league office conference room could have planned or predicted. The internet gave Sophie Cunningham a new name, Bodyguard Cunningham, and it stuck immediately, completely, and everywhere at once. Jerseys sold out before the night was over. TikTok flooded with slow-motion replays soundtrack to hype music. The hashtag hit #1 trending before most of the country had gone to bed. Overnight, a player who had spent her career as a respected but under-the-radar contributor became one of the most recognizable names in American sports. But the spotlight brought friction alongside the praise. Critics called the foul dangerous, reckless, potentially injurious. Some fans started petitions calling for Cunningham to be banned from the league entirely. Commentators who had spent years watching Clark get hit without a word suddenly found their voices and aimed them at the woman who finally fought back. The hypocrisy was not lost on anyone paying attention. But the question underneath all of it, the one that wouldn't go away no matter how loud the argument got, was deeper than one foul, and one game, and one night. What does loyalty mean in a league that won't protect its own? How far should a teammate go when the officials won't go anywhere? And at what point does a player's decision to take matters into her own hands stop being a problem and start being the only rational response to a broken system? Sophie Cunningham didn't have a press conference answer for those questions. She had something better. She had a lawyer. Courtside to courtroom. The WNBA's response to the June 17th incident was swift and conventional. 2 fines, an ejection, a league statement about player conduct, and the integrity of the game. Sophie Cunningham's response was anything but conventional. She sued. The legal complaint filed against the WNBA and targeting Commissioner Kathy Engelbert directly is built on 2 core pillars, and both of them are explosive. The first is selective enforcement. The argument is straightforward and supported by a long public record. While Caitlin Clark absorbed hit after hit, foul after foul, contact after contact, without consequence for the players delivering it, Sophie Cunningham committed one retaliatory fall and immediately faced financial penalties, ejection, and public condemnation from the league. The disparity isn't subtle. It isn't deniable. And Cunningham's legal team is putting it on the record, in writing, with documentation. The second claim is defamation. The league's framing of Cunningham's actions as a dangerous aggressor, as a player who crossed a line, as someone whose behavior threatened the safety of a game, is being challenged as a deliberate and damaging mischaracterization. Her attorneys argue that the intent was protective, the context was clear, and the league's public statements painted a false picture that caused real professional damage. The lawsuit doesn't just ask for money. It asks for something harder to deliver: a public correction, a formal acknowledgement, a recorded admission that Sophie Cunningham was wronged and that the league's handling of the situation was unjust. That is not a small ask. That is an institution being asked to look in a mirror. And Commissioner Kathy Engelbert? Complete silence. No press conference. No statement. No direct response to the specific allegations. Nothing. The woman at the top of the league, who allegedly told players they should be grateful, that Caitlin Clark should be on her knees thanking the WNBA for the platform it gave her, has gone quiet at the exact moment the noise is loudest. Behind the scenes, legal teams are assembling. Depositions are being prepared. A battle is forming that could reshape how the WNBA handles discipline, player protection, and commissioner accountability for a generation. The league is standing at a fork in the road. It can dig in, defend every decision, outlast the story, hope the news cycle moves on before the damage becomes permanent. Or it can reckon with what Sophie Cunningham and this lawsuit are actually saying, that the system is broken, that the players know it, and that the era of quiet compliance is over. One of those paths leads somewhere. The other leads somewhere worse. The league gets to choose. But it's running out of time to decide.